Good evening, I'm Darren Mara, the top stories. Significant arrests in response to the deadly attack outside Britain's Parliament.
Main line of our investigation is what led him to be radicalised.
More details tonight about the victims killed by senseless violence.
Yesterday we saw the worst of humanity, but we will remember the best.
And Pauline Hanson's reaction to the attack labelled dangerous.
This bat poo crazy stuff does not help anybody.
In developing news tonight, British police say they've made more arrests over the deadly attack outside the Houses of Parliament in London. 9 people are now in custody as authorities try to piece together the assailants' movements and motivations. SBS Europe correspondent Brett Mason joins us now live from London. Brett, what are the latest developments?
Well, Darren, Scotland Yard says counter-terrorism officers have carried out further raids, this time in the city of Birmingham in the north of England. They've told us that 2 of those arrests are significant. The breakthrough comes as we learn more about the man responsible for this rampage. He was a father, a former teacher and a petty criminal who converted to Islam while in prison and was at some point after that apparently radicalised. There have also been some difficult questions for the Metropolitan Police and security services about the safeguarding measures here in central London.
Police continue to patrol the now reopened Westminster Bridge. Around 36 hours since a car and knife attack killing 5 people, only flowers and unease remain. Earlier, investigators had combed the area where Khalid Masood's bloody rampage ended. Tonight, pictures have emerged showing the immediate aftermath. The assailant shot by police after stabbing Officer Keith Palmer, who collapses near a wall.
Get back! Get back!
New videos also show panic inside Parliament as the attack was underway. British Prime Minister Theresa May momentarily losing her bearings as she's guided to her motorcade by guards. Only a clear archway standing between her and the spot where Masood was killed, prompting calls for a review into parliamentary security.
Of course, after an incident like this, as would be expected, my team will work with parliamentary authorities to assess whether a different tone or a different balance is necessary.
In its latest briefing tonight, police revealed they had arrested 2 more significant suspects. That's on top of 8 other arrests during a series of raids in Birmingham.
We now have 9 people remaining in custody and 1 woman has been released on bail. We have 5 searches at addresses continuing and 16 searches concluded.
Their search, including a flat Masood is believed to have lived in recently, the company where he hired the car used in the attack, and a budget motel where he's said to have spent his final night. As Parliament resumed, the Prime Minister had revealed more details of the man born Adrian Russell Ajao, a Muslim convert with a long history of crime.
Some years ago, he was once investigated by MI5 in relation to concerns about violent extremism. He was a peripheral figure. The case is historic. He was not part of the current intelligence picture. There was no prior intelligence of his intent or of the plot. Intensive investigations continue.
It's not yet clear whether Masood had any links to IS militants, but in a statement they claim he was one of their soldiers, a former neighbour painting a very different picture, describing him as a house-proud family man.
As far as I'm aware, he had 2 children at the time he was here that appeared to be primary school children. He had a people carrier and he was loading his children into a people carrier with child seats.
Investigators are looking into claims he became radicalised in prison after stabbing a man in the face in 2003. Britain's Home Secretary has denied any failure on the part of intelligence services, but
you're right, 1 got through. There may be lessons to learn, but above all, I want people to be aware that we don't just have a programme which stops people, we have a programme that enters into the communities much earlier on to safeguard people from becoming radicalised.
In Trafalgar Square, crowds held a candlelight vigil where community leaders vowed their city would stand firm together.
Londoners and solidarity is at the centre of the teaching of faith.
Manny Tsigas, SBS World News.
And authorities have confirmed the identity of his fourth victim. 75-year-old Leslie Rhodes was struck as he crossed Westminster Bridge. In the last hour, Scotland Yard has confirmed that at least 50 people were injured. 2 remain in a critical condition. Among those hurt, 2 serving police officers. This comes as the Metropolitan Police pay tribute to one of their own. Comrades of police officer Keith Palmer observe a minute's silence outside Scotland Yard in memory of their fallen colleague. James Cleverly served with PC Palmer in the army more than 15 years ago, before they met up again just recently.
He was a strong, professional public servant, and it was a delight to meet him here again, only a few months after being elected.
Listening to Tobias Elwood, the MP who desperately tried to keep the father of a 5-year-old alive.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday we saw the worst of humanity, but we will remember the best. We will remember the extraordinary efforts to save the life of PC Keith Palmer, including those by my right honourable friend, the member for Bournemouth East.
Kurt Cochrane from the United States was one of the first victims hit. Celebrating 25 years of marriage to his wife Melissa, they were on their last day of a European holiday, innocently buying postcards on the bridge.
You want to be your friend within 5 minutes, and we've been... Sorry.
Kurt was thrown over the wall and fell onto the cement footpath below.
These guys were just in a documentary that I watched, right? Very cool.
The couple owned a recording studio in Utah and helped many local music acts.
Meeting Kurt and Melissa, I had a new purpose.
Melissa remains in hospital with a broken leg and broken rib. Further along the bridge, Aisha Frado was run down. The 43-year-old mother of 2 girls, aged 8 and 11, was on her way to pick them up from school when she was hit.
She was just a lovely person with 2 lovely children. They've lost their mother. You leave your kids, you took them to school to go and pick them up, and now this has happened to you.
A 75-year-old man had his life support switched off overnight after his family were notified. 40 people from 11 different countries were injured. 20 remain in hospital, including Romanian woman 29-year-old Andrea Christie, who fell or jumped into the Thames during the attack. She has undergone surgery to remove a blood clot from her brain. 26-year-old Francisco Lopez suffered severe injuries to his legs.
I didn't want to die, so I was just like, yeah, I'm going to be okay, that my legs were going to be okay, but I was horrified.
And a German-born Adelaide woman who was visiting her daughter in London remains in hospital, also with an injured foot. And this final photograph of PC Keith Palmer has emerged, posing here with an American tourist less than 45 minutes before he was fatally wounded guarding Parliament House. There has been an enormous outpouring of grief and generosity, volunteers pledging more than $500,000 in less than 36 hours to support the young family he leaves behind. Darren?
Brett, thank you very much. Brett Mason there live from London. Well, back home, One Nation leader Pauline Hanson has been derided for her reaction to the attack. She described Islam as a disease and says Australia needs to be vaccinated. The Prime Minister says her words are dangerous.
A day after she shocked the world with her comments on Muslim immigration, Pauline Hanson was at it again.
We have a disease. We vaccinate ourselves against it. Islam is a disease. We need to vaccinate ourselves against that.
Her remarks followed this provocative video posted on Twitter just hours after the London terror attacks.
It's pray for a Muslim ban. That is how you solve the problem.
The Prime Minister says the One Nation leader is just encouraging terrorists.
Inciting hatred against any member of any part of the Australian community is always dangerous.
Both government and opposition ministers condemning her timing.
You can't say stuff like that. You just can't. This bat poo crazy stuff does not help anybody.
To play politics at a time like that I just think, said a lot about the nature of her character.
At this Imam Hassan Islamic Centre in Sydney's West, Muslims today prayed for those affected by London's terror attack and denounced the attack on their community.
One desire of hers has caused hurt to the Muslim community, to the innocent people and the families of all those people who were killed and injured.
The centre's Sheikh Dr. Imrani Panjwani says he's sick of the constant attacks and has invited Miss Hanson to come and visit the centre for herself.
I'm appalled actually by the comments. I think it's very exploitative, and I think we as a community just feel that that should not be coming from any human being. We would welcome her with open arms, but I would also say, please read up on actually what Islam is.
This Islamic Community Centre says it prides itself on supporting national causes in the community. Just this week it announced it will be donating $5,000 to ensure Sydney's main Anzac Day dawn service goes ahead this year. Malcolm Turnbull says he's spoken to Ms Hanson to ask her to stop demonising Australia's Muslim community, a comment she denies. Kirsty Johansson, SBS World News.
In Sydney, a teenager has pleaded guilty to planning a terrorist attack on Anzac Day last year. The then 16-year-old boy was arrested just hours before packed-out dawn services started across the country. He's been accused of using an encrypted message app to try and obtain a gun for the attack, and when that failed, a bomb manual. He's been remanded in custody until next month. Well, coming up after the break, families searching for answers as a shipwreck is pulled from the depths.
Running a family business.
There was quite a lot of tension. We didn't get on at all.
It was a case of business comes first, the family can come second.
With family business, there is no filter.
You can trust each other. A lot of people don't have that with business partners that aren't family.
Then, on Dateline, the tonic America needed.
Better healthcare.
Or a dose of bad medicine.
What does this mean? Is my child going to die?
Insight, followed by Dateline. Tuesday from 8:30 on SBS.
This is the time Betty's booty got her into a spot of bother. Fortunately, she's got confidence by her side. Download the NRMA Insurance app or go online to get confidence by your side.
I'm an athlete, an author, and I'm in training for the Tokyo 2020 Games. I believe in having a go. What am I driven by? I'm driven by being my best. I am Stacey, and I established the Academy of Resilience to inspire others to turn adversity into an asset. This is what drives me. What drives you?
Tell us how you would drive change in your community at holden.sbs.com.au/drive for your chance to win a $50,000 grant from Holden, supporting the drivers of change.
At Best & Less, our perfect fit jeggings are guaranteed to last, guaranteed to keep their shape, guaranteed to fit in all the right places. And best of all, our super stretch jeggings are now only $15. That's why we're called Best & Less.
Toro's all-new mower range has arrived. Tackle your toughest jobs with our new walk power and zero-turn mowers, including the Titan HD. With innovative features and powerful performance, you can count on Toro's new mower range. See your local Toro dealer today.
I'm an athlete, an author, and I'm in training for the Tokyo 2020 Games. I believe in having a go. What am I driven by? I'm driven by being my best. I am Stacey, and I established the Academy of Resilience to inspire others to turn adversity into an asset. This is what drives me. What drives you?
Tell us how you would drive change in your community at holden.sbs.com.au/drive for your chance to win a $50,000 grant from Holden, supporting the drivers of change.
Look forward, keep your body tight and fall backwards.
Selection for the SAS is a test like no other.
Do whatever up there makes it go. Get it done.
No other test asks as much.
In my head, the demons are there.
Or means as much to the few who make it through.
It's overcome so much in your life.
SAS, Who Dares Wins. Starts Monday, 9:30 on SBS and on demand.
Egypt's ousted former President Hosni Mubarak has been freed tonight after 6 years in detention. An appeals court cleared Mr Mubarak earlier this month on charges of killing protesters in the 2011 Arab Spring uprising. The revolt ended his 30-year rule. US President Donald Trump has issued an ultimatum to Republican lawmakers. Vote tomorrow for an overhaul of healthcare or lose all chance of reforming it. The president's first major legislative initiative hangs in the balance, with around 24 Conservatives opposing the relevant bill, forcing postponement of today's vote.
Defending Obamacare, rejecting its proposed replacement. Protests outside the White House as Republicans squabble on Capitol Hill.
I will proudly vote no if the bill continues to be as it is, bad for America.
A day of cancelled votes and meetings.
Just as postponed.
As President Trump worked the phones and met around 30 ultra-conservatives who insist the bill to repeal and replace Obamacare doesn't gut it enough and retains too many subsidies.
We'll see what happens. It's going to be a very close vote.
To secure the healthcare bill, a majority is needed in the 435-seat House. 216 votes the magic number. If 22 or more Republicans vote against, the bill will fail. Finally, a high-stakes ultimatum from the White House: vote yes tomorrow or Obamacare stays.
Tomorrow we're proceeding.
You have to vote? The answer is unclear, but the bill's architects hope that lawmakers won't stomach a failure to fulfil a years-long promise. Other controversies were relegated to sideshows, including Democratic anger over the Republican chair of the House Intelligence Committee, Devin Nunes. Yesterday, he told the White House that communications of Mr Trump and associates may have inadvertently been collected by intelligence agencies after the election. He didn't offer the same courtesy to Democratic members of his committee.
Chairman Nunes is deeply compromised and he cannot possibly lead an honest investigation.
Today, Mr Nunes apologised.
I try to treat everybody fairly, and Republicans and Democrats, but this is not an easy minefield.
Also overshadowed by the healthcare debate, new claims about former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort. Associated Press reports that as part of a federal probe into his work in Ukraine, the US Treasury is examining financial transactions routed through shell companies in Cyprus, a favourite location for Russian money laundering. Raina Sarampayat, SBS World News.
More than 200 migrants are feared dead after a boat sank off the coast of Libya. Rescuers recovered 5 bodies floating near 2 capsized boats, which are each believed to hold more than 100 people. The number of migrants trying to reach Europe from Libya has risen dramatically since the route through Turkey was cut off. In South Korea, families are waiting anxiously for answers as a ferry is raised after one of the country's worst maritime accidents. The Sewol sank in 2014, killing more than 300 people. It sparked public outrage amid claims the ferry was structurally unsound, overloaded and travelling too fast when it capsized and sank. China's Premier has joined Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull tonight in Sydney, spruiking strengthened economic ties between the two countries. Earlier, Li Keqiang played down tensions in the disputed South China Sea, saying China didn't want to engage in so-called militarisation.
A Friday night dinner shared with friends. Such was the atmosphere in Sydney tonight as Chinese and Australian delegates talked investment down under.
Shangao Huangdi Yuan. You need to make the mountain is high, the emperor is far away. And it's wherever you're doing business, you've got to make sure you have strong support.
It seems China can be assured of the Prime Ministers. As China's second most powerful leader warned against economy-stifling protectionism, it seems his visit achieved its aim, the two nations signing an expansion of their 2014 free trade agreement. It will help boost the quantity of Australian chilled beef in China, with a more than 3-fold increase in the number of export approvals for processors here.
It's time to eating beef?
Yes. Very good. More beef.
But despite the smiles, there's still tension over China's ongoing military build-up in the disputed China Sea.
With respect to the so-called militarization, China never has any intention to engage in militarization in the South China Sea.
We encourage all parties to refrain from taking any actions which could add to tensions.
Hours earlier, Premier Li Keqiang maintained his country's defence capability in the region is instead about maintaining freedom of navigation.
China is the largest trader of goods in the world, so one can easily imagine how many Chinese interests are at stake here.
Premier Lee's next stop is New Zealand, but not before getting a taste of Aussie rules at the Swans and Port Adelaide clash tomorrow. Camille Bianchi, SBS World News.
The federal government's overhaul of the childcare system has passed the Senate. It's a reform which replaces multiple subsidies with one means-tested payment.
The Prime Minister spruiks a win.
Oh yes, I can hear the seas, I can hear the waves.
After listening to the demands of a few crossbenchers, the government's finally passed its childcare package.
It's really delivering a fair deal for Australian families, so we're very pleased to end the week with this achievement.
The complicated childcare rebate scheme has been reformed. There's now one means-tested payment for families, with the annual $7,500 cap scrapped. It'll mean the more than 800,000 estimated families earning less than $65,000 a year are now entitled to up to 85% of their fees subsidised.
Oh, that's great.
The rebate will depend on what you earn, but families on a combined income of $350,000 or more will get nothing under the changes.
Ensuring that the greatest support goes to families who need it most, and the greatest level of subsidy goes to the families who are earning the least.
Not everyone is thrilled as the measure slashes the number of subsidised care hours to just 12 per week. Labor, the Greens, as well as some of the childcare sector argue that'll hurt low-income families who fail the activity test.
We'll continue to make that case. All Australian children should be entitled to good access to early childhood education and development.
With its childcare reforms out of the way, the government can now use the next parliamentary sitting week to pressure the Senate into passing vital savings measures. It's the last chance before the May budget, which is expected to include a significant package to address the rising cost of housing.
There's no one national housing market in Australia. So what may impact in Sydney in one way can impact exactly the reverse in Perth.
Good morning. Good morning.
Today, state and territory treasurers arrive to offer their solutions.
So they've got to review some of their existing taxation settings, capital gains tax and negative gearing in particular.
The more supply you have in the market, the downward pressure on prices.
The states agreed to progress a government proposal which would provide cheaper and longer-term finance for community housing. David Shiraz, SBS World News.
Well, coming up, the weather and how scientists are a step closer to reversing ageing.
Let's talk drama. Drama that grabs you and doesn't let go.
Welcome to the family.
Stories that make your heart race and your blood boil.
I don't have any sins to confess. Thank God.
With characters you love to hate.
You will be loyal to me and only to me.
Moments that keep you waiting and wanting more. Because great storytelling is for all of us. Drama worth talking about.
Anticipating, touching, seeing, hearing, feeling, stirring, escaping. Everything you get from a sports car. Own XER Sport from $66,990 drive away with complimentary extras. But it's only for a limited time. Search Jaguar offers today.
Here's what's new at Coles. Simpsons Pantry Wraps. 4 in a pack and so easy to fold. Have it for breakfast, as a snack, lunch or dinner. Just $2.20 a pack every day. It's a wrap at Coles.
Mine. Magic is more than just connecting.
Hey, Brad.
It's always sticking together.
I was here first.
Being there, even if there is somewhere else. Through the turbulent times.
Hey, I'm in here.
and the darkest moments. Because the best connections are the ones you can count on. New Gateway Frontier with hybrid technology for a more reliable home broadband. Only from Telstra.
Hey Drew, what's your cheapest pizza?
Our top quality value pizzas are just $5 online.
Cool. I'll have a pepperoni.
Smart choice. And I thought I was the pizza genius.
Value pizza's even easier with Drew Assist from Domino's.
I'm an athlete, an author, and I'm in training for the Tokyo 2020 Games. I believe in having a go. What am I driven by? I'm driven by being my best. I am Stacey, and I established the Academy of Resilience to inspire others to turn adversity into an asset. This is what drives me. What drives you?
Tell us how you would drive change in your community at holden.sbs.com.au/drive for your chance to win a $50,000 grant from Holden, supporting the drivers of change.
Look forward, keep your body tight and fall backwards.
No other test asks as much. SAS, Who Dares Wins. Starts Monday 9:30 on SBS and on demand.
It's passion versus profession as talented home cooks take on leading chefs in the ultimate cook-off.
Brand new series, The Chef's Line. Weeknights at 6. Starts Monday the 3rd of April on SBS.
Let's check the finance figures now. When the Australian share market ended the week on a high, the 200 up 0.8%. The big four banks all rose as the ANZ and CommBank increased their variable home loan rates. Harvey Norman rose as the retailer said the corporate regulator was reviewing its financial accounts. Markets in Europe are down a little in early deals, and the Australian dollar is buying 76.25 US cents. To Friday night sport now, and the AFL Premiers began their defence of the title tonight. The Western Bulldogs got the better of Collingwood with former Pies Premiership player Travis Cloke on target in the opening quarter. Lachie Hunter kicked 3 goals in a 14-point win for the Bulldogs. In the A-League, a Brendan Santalab hat-trick has secured the Western Sydney Wanderers back-to-back victories for the first time this season. It's also the first time in 4 matches Melbourne City has lost to Tony Popovich's men. The victory cements the Wanderers' place in the top 6. And there were 2 NRL matches this evening. A field goal proved the difference in a low-scoring encounter between the Broncos and the Raiders. Jordan Kahu snapping the winner off the post in the 74th minute, while earlier the Panthers thumped the Knights by 40 points, with 7 Penrith players getting their names on the score sheet. Scientists believe they may be a step closer to finding the key to reversing the ageing process. The discovery of an anti-aging drug could even help survivors of childhood cancers and astronauts travelling to Mars.
Ageing gracefully is no easy feat.
If I do nothing, the body just wastes, muscles waste, the joints seize up.
I had a knee replacement just over a year ago, and if you don't keep up the rehab and the exercise, you're going to be in big trouble.
Reversing the signs of ageing was once thought possible only in movies, but now scientists are making it a reality. As we age, our cells' ability to repair damaged DNA caused by sun and radiation exposure declines because of diminishing levels of a compound called NAD. Scientists discovered when a NAD booster called NMN was administered, it improved DNA repair. When tested on mice, the treatment increased lifespan by 20%.
There have been a number of benefits. So, for example, their metabolism is improved, their blood flow is improved, they can run further, their vision is restored, they have improved memory.
The drug could also benefit cancer survivors.
So their ability to repair DNA has been enhanced. And so what we can do is essentially blast them with radiation, and they don't get the side effects you would normally experience of radiation therapy.
The drug is yet to be tested on humans. Clinical trials will begin in Boston later this year. And if the results are positive, the drug will be available commercially in 3 years' time.
The implications are out of this world. NASA has already shown interest in using the drug for its Mars mission astronauts to mitigate DNA damage caused by exposure to cosmic radiation.
Essentially, this will be a pill that hopefully the astronauts will take up with them to prevent that DNA damage from occurring.
But for some, winding back the clock the old-fashioned way is best.
I think exercise is absolutely essential.
Lydia Feng, SBS World News.
I'll take one of those, thanks. To the weather now, and cloudy in Perth and Adelaide, showers in Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne, grey skies for Hobart. Looking further afield, a wet day in Auckland, Tahiti, Samoa and Noumea. In Southeast Asia, cloudy in Bangkok, rain in Phnom Penh, storms in Kuala Lumpur and Singapore, rain for Jakarta and Honiara. Further north, grey skies over Beijing, rain in Seoul, overcast in Tokyo and Shanghai, showers in Taipei, rain in Hanoi. Heading west, fine in Beirut, cloudy in Jerusalem, rain in Tehran and Baghdad, cloudy in Islamabad, fine in New Delhi, rain in Dubai. Up to Europe, sunny in London and Paris, showers in Madrid, rain in Rome, fine in Warsaw, rain in Moscow. To Africa, all clear in Algiers, Cairo and Casablanca, showers in Dakar, storms in Lagos, rain in Addis Ababa. Over to South America, rain in Caracas and Bogota, overcast in Lima, rain in La Paz, grey skies over Rio de Janeiro. And up for North America, rain in Vancouver and Los Angeles, fine in Denver, overcast in New York, showers in Havana and rain in Mexico City. That's the world this Friday. All tonight's stories are online, and for news around the clock, go to our website. You can also tune into English language news tomorrow morning between 5 and 7:30 here on SBS. I'm Darren Mara. Good night.